Japan was supposed to be the comeback story of Asia. But the numbers tell a quieter, stranger truth. The crowds returned, yet something didn't feel the same. The magic that once drew millions is fading beneath polite smiles and empty streets. For years, Japan was the world's dream destination. Clean, safe, mysterious. The perfect blend of old and new. But behind the beauty, the system that carried that dream is cracking. The world remembers the 2019 peak. Record arrivals, overflowing trains, tourists everywhere. Then came the pandemic, and silence fell across Tokyo's neon skyline. When the borders reopened, the world expected another explosion. But instead of growth, Japan got exhaustion. Locals welcomed visitors with restraint, not excitement. The hype had worn thin, the costs had not. Tourism was supposed to save the economy. Instead, it's testing it. The yen's collapse made Japan cheaper than ever. But cheap tourism brings a different kind of chaos. Budget travel replaced balance, and quality gave way to quantity. The same streets that once celebrated diversity now whisper frustration. The quiet order that defined Japan is being stretched to its limits. For visitors, it still feels magical. For residents, it feels unsustainable. In Kyoto, narrow lanes once sacred now echo with camera shutters. Locals avoid their own shrines. What was once spiritual has become staged. The beauty remains, but the boundaries are fading. Taxi drivers call it the second invasion, this time by curiosity, not conflict. And yet, the fatigue feels just as heavy. The cultural contract between guest and host is breaking. Tokyo is busier than ever, but also lonelier. Crowds flow through Shibuya like a current with no direction. Even the shopkeepers notice the difference. Many come, they say, but few connect. Tourism used to bring stories. Now it brings transactions. Every smile feels shorter, every interaction more rehearsed. Japan's tourism crash isn't about numbers, it's about meaning. The hype promised endless hospitality. The reality delivered burnout. After years of pressure to serve, many communities are quietly retreating. Villages that once welcomed visitors are closing roads and raising taxes. Even iconic landmarks are setting crowd limits. Overtourism has become a national embarrassment. Japan's government calls it visitor management. Locals call it relief. Because in the rush to please the world, Japan forgot to protect itself. The country's image became a brand. Perfection on display, politeness without pause. But behind that image, people were breaking under the weight of expectation. The service culture that amazed foreigners is reaching its breaking point. Staff shortages, low wages, and impossible standards are pushing the tourism industry to exhaustion. The workers who once defined omotenashi, the art of selfless hospitality, are disappearing. And without them, Japan's signature charm begins to fade. The crash isn't visible in airports or headlines. It's felt in smaller ways. The empty ryokan, the silent shopfront, the forced smile. It's in the realization that not every country wants to be a tourist attraction forever. Japan is starting to question what kind of attention it really wants, and whether the world's admiration is worth the cost of its peace. The truth is, Japan's tourism crash isn't sudden. It's slow, quiet, and entirely self-inflicted. For decades, the nation's politeness became its brand. But behind that courtesy lies exhaustion that no amount of yen can fix. The service industry never recovered from the pandemic. Too many quit, too few returned. And now, entire cities rely on a workforce that no longer exists. Hotels can't find staff, restaurants are closing early. Even the trains that once ran with mechanical precision are feeling the strain of human fatigue. Automation fills the gaps, but technology can't replicate warmth. Robots don't bow, and sincerity can't be coded. The country that perfected hospitality is now struggling to remember why it mattered. Visitors still come for the Japan they imagine. But that Japan, quiet, graceful, endlessly patient, is harder to find. The rituals remain, but the reverence is fading. The rhythm of daily life has been replaced by performance. Tea ceremonies timed for TikTok, temples crowded before dawn, even spirituality feels scheduled. Kyoto, once the heart of culture, now feels like a museum inside a storm. Every alley is a photo opportunity, every moment interrupted by noise. Locals say the city has become a stage where they no longer belong, and many have quietly moved away, trading heritage for breathing space. Rural Japan is collapsing in the opposite way, not from crowds, but from emptiness. Entire towns are disappearing as young people move to the cities. Abandoned schools, ghost villages, fading signs of life, these are the shadows behind Japan's tourism story. While the world looks at Tokyo, the countryside is dissolving. Some of those ghost towns were supposed to be reborn through tourism, but the visitors never came. The yen's weakness brought backpackers, not investors. Cheap trips, not commitments. Short stays fill hostels, not hearts. The cycle of quick tourism leaves no roots behind. And without roots, revival never lasts. Even Tokyo, the symbol of progress, is struggling to evolve. The skyline glows brighter than ever, but the energy beneath it feels fragile. The same country that once inspired awe is now caught between pride and fatigue. It wants the world's admiration, but not the world's invasion. Japan's tourism crash isn't about empty airports, it's about boundaries. The country has finally realized that being admired isn't always a blessing. When every tradition becomes a spectacle, authenticity dies in applause. And Japan, more than any place on Earth, knows the value of silence. The recovery numbers look impressive on paper, but numbers don't measure fatigue. They don't show the frustration of a monk forced to pose for photos. They don't capture the sadness of locals watching their peace become product. And they never mention the quiet rebellion forming behind those polite smiles. Because Japan is starting to change, on its own terms. Some shrines are limiting visitors. Some villages are closing paths entirely. Others are introducing etiquette rules, fines, and strict behavior codes. They're not rejecting tourism, they're redefining it. The country that once said yes to everything is learning to say no, not out of arrogance, but out of survival. Because preserving culture sometimes means protecting it from curiosity. And true hospitality must have limits, or it turns into servitude. You can still find the real Japan. It just won't compete for your attention. It's in the small towns untouched by fame, the family inns that still bow out of love, not obligation. It's in the temples where shoes are removed not for content but for respect. And it's in the silence of a mountain morning, the kind no algorithm can capture. The hype sold Japan as flawless. The truth makes it human. And maybe that's what travelers need to rediscover, that imperfection is authenticity. Japan doesn't need another boom. It needs balance. Because tourism built on exhaustion is just another form of collapse. The world will always love Japan. But love without understanding becomes pressure. To truly honor the country, visitors must meet its grace with restraint. It's not about doing more, it's about disturbing less. Because what makes Japan beautiful is not what it shows, it's what it hides. The crash isn't the end. It's a correction. A reminder that paradise doesn't exist for applause. Japan will endure. Quieter, wiser, more guarded. It always has. The world may chase the next it destination, but Japan doesn't need to compete anymore. Its beauty isn't for sale. It's for those who see beyond the surface. And maybe that's how the story ends. Not with a fall, but a return. A return to the Japan that never asked for attention, only appreciation. So when you next walk through Kyoto's empty street at dawn, listen. The silence isn't loss, it's recovery. The country isn't collapsing, it's catching its breath. And that breath, once calm again, will be worth the wait.